Hi, friends. Thanks for being here. Before we get started, there's a couple things that you should know. First of all, I'm the youngest of 5 older sisters, so that means that context is very important to me. That also means that I automatically assume that everyone in the room is smarter than me, so I'm very humble to be here. Secondly, I'm also very impatient, so you should know up front, I'm only going to talk about 3 things today: small and scattered problems, the burrito-based economy, and Ralph Waldo Emerson. I know these sound like likely combinations. Thirdly, my wife is 9 months pregnant, so let's hope I make it through the next 15 minutes. If I don't, is there a midwife in the room? Okay, bases covered. Lastly, I am from Colorado. And so when I came to study at Carnegie Mellon in 2006, and ended up studying vacant land and green strategies, which I know sounds very sexy, I was struck by the raw amount of real estate that is vacant and blighted and perpetuating a downward cycle of poverty. So what does this mean? Let's start at the ground level with your garden variety vacant lot in the community of Larimer in Pittsburgh's East End. What do we have here? We have a broken sidewalk, a stairway that goes to nowhere, encroaching vegetation. There are minimal weeds, so we can assume it's been a fairly recent demolition, so at least the building wasn't crunched and dumped into the basement with about 6 inches of topsoil on top, which used to be kind of standard operating procedure. Maybe it's not great to live down the street, but lo and behold, it's one small place that's probably not that big of a problem. Let's zoom out to a slightly larger lens. The map that you see is a map of the community of Larimer. All of that gray, the speckled patchwork that you see is a patchwork of disinvestment. It's vacant land where there used to be houses and buildings. And so what does that mean? There's inevitably a broken urban fabric. It's likely hard to attract people to live there. It's also probably challenging to invest in amenities, and enforcing social norms is also likely challenging. Telling people not to throw trash or keeping people out of trouble. So let's take this community and zoom out even further and take a look at the city of Pittsburgh, right? We all recognize this. All of that orange that you see, all of that orange represents about 30,000 vacant lots throughout the city of Pittsburgh, or close to 20% of the city's landmass. So if you squint your eyes just a little bit, you can begin to see the identifiable boundaries of segregation and the clear boundaries of disinvestment. So from a contextual standpoint, this is an important starting point, because when you think about everything bad that happens in cities, they happen in places with the most amount of vacancy. Crime rates go up, unemployment rates go up, families in poverty go up, high school dropout rates go up, asthma rates go up, there's a higher propensity of food deserts. Vacant land doesn't cause these problems, but it certainly perpetuates a downward cycle of poverty. And if we assume that people are products of their environment, this is a significant starting point. So here we have the image, the embodiment of small and scattered problems in a city. And let's not forget about the legacy of where this comes from. Many of us know that the city of Pittsburgh was built and planned for approximately 900,000 people. There's now 300,000 people who live here. So this results in a legacy of disinvestment, diaspora, and disregard. Small and scattered problems. And so with the problems that are small and scattered at this scale, there's a couple different schools of thoughts of how to go about approaching it. One school of thought is that there's an opportunity for large-scale, massive interventions of significant investment that target large places worthy of significant upfront investment. Here we have the circled site right here is sandwiched between lingering disinvestment in the community of Larimer and a strong market in adjacent East Liberty. This site is future home to dozens of affordable housing units, and certainly this will have a drastic impact on the landscape. But what happens when the resources are not available, nor are there enough suitable sites for investments at this scale? There's only so many large, massive federal grants that will enable this type of intervention. And so what do we do to stem the cycle of poverty at this scale? Where do we start? So my disclaimer is that I don't think that there is one answer to this question, and in fact, I'm not even sure that it's answers that we should be looking for. We believe that it is the seeds of ideas that grow a process that absorb negativity and exude positivity. We believe that action begets action, and it is the very investment of people who are taking action that makes the most sense. We believe that it is the latent energy of people most disproportionately affected by that problem that is the key to the solutions. We believe that people are hungry to do something versus nothing. And we believe that starting at the most appropriate level, that of getting our hands in the ground, makes the most sense. So how do we bridge this chasm? How do we bridge the chasm of small and disconnected problems and people willing and hungry to take action? So at this point of the talk, I have a profound observation to make that may be a surprise to many of you by means of metaphor. We are shifting from a hamburger-based economy to a burrito-based economy. I know this makes sense to many of you. And for some of you, this may require a little bit of unpacking, so bear with me. In short, we are shifting culturally from a top-down, centrally planned system of sustenance delivery, where ingredients are merely stacked on top of each other, to a dispersed, interconnected, integrated, and customizable package of resource sustenance. We have more options. The burrito ethos is fundamentally about combining unlikely ingredients and bundling them together. It's about quality, diversity, accessibility, and even sustainability. Which brings me to my friend Ralph Waldo. And no, I'm not talking about two roads that diverge in the wilderness. That's a different old white dude. I am talking about when no one owns the solutions because the problem is public. A problem like public vacant land is no one owns that one problem. When no one owns the solution, the journey is the destination. And so Ralph Waldo says it well. And if the journey is the destination, then where do we start? Where do we start, and how do we distribute capacity appropriately? And so I think the ingredients are actually quite simple. Step one is we identify those that are already passionate and motivated, the community heroes that are willing to get hands-on and hungry to learn. Step two, we take action where action is possible because catalytic actions can change our perception to places. When we change our perception to places, then we can bring people together. When we bring people together, then we can start layering and incorporating additional ingredients to the mix. How do I get avocado into that burrito? We can start combining new value that will allow people to utilize spaces in unique ways. And lastly, we can invest in collaborative infrastructure to bring unlikely people together because it is that diversity of relationships that allows us to take action at a larger scale. So allow me to walk through a quick example here. This is my friend Lisa. I believe she's here. And Lisa is a 52-year-old practicing and trained social worker. She says, please don't mix her up with Beyonce. Lisa lives in the community of Manchester in Pittsburgh's north side, where there are approximately 5,000 vacant lots in 19 adjacent communities. So vacancy and blight is a pervasive issue for Lisa and her community, but she is passionate about getting hands-on in her community, and she knows who the pigeon poop lovers are and what buildings are most important to the sense of neighborhood self, and what kids are in need of being involved in the process and who needs the most support. Lisa is the one that we can learn from and learn with. Lisa knows what's the starting point of how to have tangible actions that beget more actions. And more importantly, Lisa lives at a very important intersection of colliding worlds in a rapidly changing neighborhood and city. She works on a daily basis with developers who are building brick ovens for a vacant lot, kids who come to cooking classes on Friday afternoons, and artists who want to design unique things for the space. And so Lisa says it's about the dirt. It's about the garden. This is the platform for us to forge community. Lisa says it's about the dirt. I think it has a little bit more to do with her and her positive effect. But what she really says is that getting hands-on gives the power away. And when we give the power away, we're able to share resources, knowledge, and networks. And when we're able to share resources, knowledge, and networks, that's when we're able to identify ingredients of quality, diversity, access, and sharing. This sounds familiar, right? So allow me to bring it all home. Because we at GTECH believe that action begets action. And when we forge those actions with an inclusive process, we have the potential for an upward spiral of community investment and community health. But what do I mean by community health? We all know that the future of the planet is dependent upon the health of cities. And in cities, there are scores of wicked problems like vacant land that prevent communities from achieving their fullest potential. And so for the health of cities with wicked problems like vacant land, the opportunity is to think about how to build relationships. And when we build relationships that are built upon tangible activity and trust and unlikely relationships, then we're able to expand upon that trust into a foundation of social capital between us. When we have social capital, we enable a higher degree of social cohesion that allows for us to work together. And when we have social cohesion, we work better together, and we have less risk in the face of adversity to anything, any type of shock that presents a risk to us, whether it's acute or a chronic shock. So with that, allow me to be the first person in history, perhaps, to say that burritos make us more resilient. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.